Eric Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. In today's video, if you have your guitar in your hands, I'd like you to set it down. And I know that a lot of you are now going to turn it off and move on, and that's okay. I get it. Today, I want to talk to you about something though that's very important for learning blues soloing. But it's not anything on your guitar. It's how you approach it. It's how you look at the things that you need to learn. Okay, so here's how I kind of break this down. I think of it as a tripod, right? Or as a three-legged stool, however you want to do it. If you have any of the legs on the tripod are short, as you know, it's going to tilt, right? We don't want to have it tilt. We want to keep it even at all times. So leg number one is what I call the theory and approaches leg. Okay, so things like knowing your pentatonic scale or your blues scale, your minor version or your major version. It could extend to understanding harmony, understanding the 12-bar blues progression and how that works, understanding a little bit of music theory, or maybe a lot of music theory, right? The more you learn, the more that leg extends. It's understanding from the 30,000 foot view how things can work, okay? Knowing that you can play the minor blues scale over an entire 12-bar blues is an approach. It's a thing that you know. It doesn't help you do it. So that's how I kind of differentiate these things. The second leg of that stool are licks, okay? They're phrases. They're things that we say, that our fingers get comfortable saying. I often equate this to a child learning to talk, right? They first learn a word, you know, but pretty soon it turns into phrases. When you type, right? You don't if you're a touch typist, you don't type you don't spell every letter out one letter at a time. You think of a word and you tend to just type the whole word. It's something that you can just sort of do. It's a chunk, okay? That's what licks are great for, because that way we're not having to think about every single note that we're going to possibly play at all times. Another reason for knowing licks has to do with the third leg, okay? And the third leg is learning complete solos. And this is one of those things that a lot of people are kind of like, what? And the reason is there's a certain, what I call story form to solos. They tend to have a natural progression. They tend to build in common ways. If you listen to a bunch of different solos, they, in general, will tend to get, you know, higher, faster, and louder as they go. They don't tend to start super fast and then get slower and more mellow towards the end. That would be unusual, right? So learning complete solos, whether it be from you know, one of my courses or from learning something off of a record, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you are playing entire solos all the way through. Now, there's all of these things could kind of benefit each other, right? So let's say that you go to a jam and you're playing a blues in E, and you've learned how to play, you know, a solo from Pride and Joy, right, by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Let's just say that you know one chorus of that solo, and you're like, okay, I'm going to use that when I'm in my jam, or when I'm playing over a jam track. I'm going to use it. Well, what happens when you make a mistake? And I didn't say if you make a mistake. I said, what happens when you make a mistake? As any of my students who have been to any of my live events will tell you, you're gonna make mistakes. It happens. What we don't want is for that mistake to wipe you out and you just stop playing. That's not cool. Everybody's gonna know you made a mistake. You're gonna know you made a mistake. It's just gonna train wreck. That's not what we want. Your licks and your approaches legs can both take up the slack if your solo bails. You bail on that solo, maybe you have a lick, right, that you know. And so you pull that lick out, okay? Or maybe at the very least, you know, hey, this is blues in E, I can play the E minor blues scale over it. And at least you get some notes that are in the right key and are gonna work. They're not gonna be wrong. Okay, maybe they're not the best option, but they're not gonna be wrong and they're gonna get you by. Okay, you could think it's like limp home mode, like cars that, everything goes wrong, but they'll still get home. They sort of figure it out. So that's where those legs can kind of help you out with that stuff. You need all of the different things. When you learn licks, you gain vocabulary. You learn things to say. You get to where you can, mix and match licks. Here's a lick I learned from B.B. King. Here's a lick I learned from Eric Clapton. Here's a lick I learned from Freddie King. You can adjust and you can change how you want to sound based on the licks that you choose, based on the phrases that you choose. Just like talking, right? I used to live in Massachusetts. There's phrases that they say in Massachusetts that nobody here in California would say. We all have a different accent. We have a different way that we talk. Licks are exactly the same way. The licks that you choose to learn and the licks that you choose to play are going to have a huge impact on your voice as a guitar player, okay? But understanding how to put them together and how to link them and how to choose them and weave them into a musical statement, going from a sentence, we're talking about going from a sentence to several paragraphs, right? A solo is several paragraphs. It's not just one sentence, one phrase. So knowing complete solos allows you to take those licks and take those phrases and turn them into something that not only is coherent, but enjoyable. All right. So just think about that, because I try to always make my lessons, either an approach or a lick or something having to do. I've even done some complete solos. If you've never done, I have a video, I'll say sort of a mini course called the 4-Note Solo. I very much encourage you to take a listen to that. You can sign up for it via email. It's absolutely free. I'll put a link below this video. I put a link for that pretty much below every video, but you may want to check that out if you've never done it before. It's a great way to start to get into the idea of learning a complete solo. Now, it's a 24-bar solo, so you can learn it in 2 sections, but nonetheless, I encourage you to do that. If you never have, now's a good time. All right, so I hope that makes sense. I want you to always think about when you are learning something or when you are playing something, or if you're trying to think about maybe where you're short, right? Maybe you're not sure what to practice next. Well, think about where you're short. Do you feel comfortable knowing what you can play? You just don't really know how to play it? Because if so, that would sort of lead me to believe that you need some more complete solos and some more licks. Most students, I would say 80% of the students that I see, are short on complete solos. We tend to have an attention span issue as guitar players. So learning complete solos doesn't really happen very well. I do have a course called 5 Easy Blues Solos that I'll leave a link to as well. That may be a good way for you to start. They're simple, they're easy to digest, but they are complete solos, and they do have that story form to them. You can take a listen to them, and you'll hear that there's that story form element. And there's a difference between that and just random licks that are thrown together. Okay? So, hope that makes sense. As always, if you think you have a guitar playing friend that would dig this video and get something out of it, please share it with them. I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. I'll talk to you soon.